Welcome to the Lovestead.
Hello, welcome back to Lady Lovestead Reads. I'm Jessica and this is the quarter year crisis tag. I was tagged in this video by Nix at Nix Reads. Definitely go check out her channel and give her a follow. Nix has some really great videos and she reads a lot of like classics and mysteries and thrillers, and I really like the way that she talks about books. We are new friends and it's been really fun getting to know her and chatting about books over on her channel. And yeah, y'all should just go check her out. She's fantastic. This tag was originally created by Roisin's Reading, and I'll have everybody's information down below in the description box because we're going to be talking about several other booktubers here today. Now, this is the quarter year crisis, and we are in the end of May. So I'm a little bit late getting this one posted. Nix did tag me. Sorry if you're seeing my plants here. It's like reaching out for me. Stealing the show. Nix did tag me in this in like April, and I just haven't had a chance to get to it because work has been so interesting. Y'all already know I was really swamped and had a lot of things going on in April, but I'm back at it now. And so I'm catching up on some tag videos. I know that there are a couple other people who have tagged me in a video, like Lee has and Lady Jane has, and I'm gonna catch up with them here soon. So since this is the quarter year crisis tag, I'm only going to talk about books that I read through March, because there is also the mid-year freakout tag that I think people start doing like June, July. And so I usually do that one. I'll try to keep them differentiated. So there's going to be like a block of time in there where I have talked about other books that I've read, but I'm not going to talk about them in this video because we are pretending that we're going to jump in a time machine and go back to the end of March and post this on time. So I got to look at my reading bullet journal here just to refresh my memory for some of these questions. Okay, so the first question is, how many books have you read so far? And as of the end of March, I had read 29 books. So I have a goal every year to read 100 books. So I was at 29 in March. The next question, have you already found a book that you think might be a favorite for 2022? And what was your favorite book that wasn't quite 5 stars? As of March, my favorite book as of March, let's look. Goodreads. Hey, don't eat my plant. Okay, so as of March, my favorite book was Transcendent Kingdom by Yaa Gyasi, and this is about Gifty, and Gifty is taking care of her mom who is having sort of issues with depression and things like that, and it's basically their family history. So there's multiple timelines, multiple characters, obviously, goes through their family history. It really touches on a lot of themes of like addiction, of science versus spirituality, and being Black in America. So it was really, really good, and up to that point was the best book that I had read so far this year. I have read a book that ended up getting a higher rating in my Cawpile system since then, but as of the quarter year, it was Transcendent Kingdom. And then for some books that almost got 5 stars, there was In Peace Lies Havoc by Amo Jones. And this is a dark romance, and it's about a circus. So like these mafia guys run a circus and they kidnap people to perform in the circus, and there was a romance in there, and it was like so good. And yeah, another one that almost got 5 stars, Beartown by Frederick Bachman. That one was really complex, lots of points of views, because it tells the story of a community, a small community that is a hockey town. Everybody plays hockey. Hockey is the way that they bring in money to the town. They're hoping to open like a center in town specifically to train hockey players. And there is a sexual assault that happens, and the story is about how this community deals with the fallout of that. And there was one other one. Luster by Raven Leilani. This one was also almost a 5 stars. And this one, I forget the main character's name, but she works in publishing and loses her job, and she ends up in a poly relationship with a married man, and actually ends up living with this man and his wife, and they have a daughter that they have adopted who is black, and the main character is black. And so it's about, you know, developing this relationship with the daughter. It's about the complexities of this poly relationship. It's about her figuring out who she is as an artist. Lots of different layers in that one, and it's a short book, and it really packed a punch. Loved that one, so that was almost 5 stars. Was there another one up to this point? No. Question 3. Any 1 stars or least favorites? Who did I read that one in March? I did. My least favorite book of the year was Ikigai by Hector Garcia. It was a 1 star. It made me angry because it was so problematic. So this book was supposed to be about the Japanese concept of Ikigai, which is how what you love, what you're good at, and what society needs overlap. And it helps you to find your purpose in life. And I was looking forward to that because I talk to my students about that all the time when we're talking about career decisions and things like that. But this book was not it. This book like cherry picked a bunch of Japanese, just Asian in general traditions. Not even all of them were Japanese. Like, let me just take a buffet of Asian traditions and throw it in this book and not really go into depth on any of them. And like, it was tokenizing. It was just so problematic. So problematic. I could not believe that it had been published. When was this published? When were you published? You problematic book. I don't even know. The Goodreads isn't listing the publication date. But it was published within the past 10 years because it came out as a bundle of books. Like, so Hyuga was another one, and there was another one, Lagom, and Ikigai was the 3rd book in this bundle. And like, what? Hated it. Hated it. Question 4, my most read genre so far. Storygraph. This is probably not going to be accurate as of March because I don't think I can set up Storygraph just to pull through March. I could do March as an individual month, but I don't think I can do January through March. Yeah, I could do an individual month. All right, so we'll just do it in general. So in general, so far, the majority of the books that I read are dark, adventurous, and mysterious. Then after that, it goes tense, emotional, reflective, and then informative. So those are the moods. For genre, interesting. Fantasy is listed as number 1, followed by horror, which I didn't think I read that much horror. But you know what I think it is? I think it is the Promised Neverland manga series. I've been reading the Promised Neverland manga series all year. And so since I am new-ish to Storygraph, it just has my stats from this year. And so many of the stats are going to be coming from that manga series. And I do think that's classified as horror and fantasy and dystopian. So I think that's where a lot of that is picking up, because I really have not, when I sit down and look at the book list of books that I've read this year, I really haven't read that much fantasy. I would say it's pretty balanced between fantasy, contemporary horror, classic thriller, and then after that there's a bit of like cozy mystery and romance in there. Okay, question 5, a book that surprised you. I'm gonna interpret surprised you as surprised me in a good way, so let's see. I'm gonna go with In Peace Lies Havoc by Amo Jones. There's been another couple books since then, but up to that point it would be In Peace Lies Havoc. So I've already said that this is a dark romance about mafia, a gang of mafia brothers who run a circus and kidnap people into the circus, and it's really, really good, actually. And I was so surprised because I thought it was going to be kind of trashy. That, like, it sounds so pretentious of me to say that, but when I picked it up and I looked at the cover especially, I was like, ooh, this looks like it's just going to be kind of trashy. And like, not well written and not yada yada yada. But the story was actually really good, and I was shocked by how much I enjoyed this. So that would be the most surprising book, January through March. Question 6. A book that came out in 2022 that you want to read but haven't yet. I don't really have any because the ones that I've been most anticipating didn't come out until April and beyond. So like January to March, 0 for that question. Question 7. One goal you were succeeding at. None of them. I think the one that I come closest to is my 5-star predictions list. I've read quite a few books on my 5-star predictions list, but otherwise progress on my book series challenge is very slow. I've only read one book from the anniversary recommendations challenge. And as of March this year, I've read 0 classics, and I was going to try to read one a month, so okay, on to question 8, which is, what's the goal you need to focus on? I think that, I'm not going to meet all my goals this year, but the one that I want to focus on the most is my anniversary video challenge, which I'll link you to up here, where I had my friends recommend books for me to read. I want to read all of those this year, and if I had to focus on one particular goal, it would be that. Question 9 then is to recommend some booktubers, booktokers, bookstagrammers, basically bookish content creators you've discovered in the past year. And this one, I had all these people like bing, 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 bing coming to mind. And every single one I was like, last year. So I know so many amazing people and have such good friends here on the BookTube, but I met most of them last year. So this year specifically, I will mention 5 booktubers that I have discovered here in 2022. One is Nix. So Nix and I are still new friends, but it's been such a joy getting to know her, watching her videos. They're fantastic. As I have said, please make sure to check her out. And then Brittany at Books with Brittany, her channel is pretty big. I mean, she's got like tens of thousands of subscribers, and so she's never gonna know I exist, but I really like how she talks about books. She went through a phase where she was primarily a fantasy reader for the longest time, and then recently she switched over because her reading taste has changed, and she now reads primarily like dark and twisted literary fiction, contemporary, and classics. And I really enjoy the way that she breaks down what she reads. I like learning about the books that she chooses. I've found a lot of different books to read by watching her channel that I'd never heard before that are kind of right up my alley. And I like that she is like not afraid to be like, this is what I like. And I think it was kind of brave to shift her genre so much, because if you're into fantasy, and she's built this audience over so many years where she's got like tens of thousands of people who are watching her videos for her fantasy content, and then makes this drastic shift, I feel like that just shows a lot of like integrity to her reading tastes, and so I feel like I can trust her reviews. So Books with Brittany would be one. The next would be Jane at the Reading Nook. Jane and I are like brand new friends. I feel like I just discovered this month Jane. And Jane reads a lot of mysteries, thrillers, and some romance. And she's such a fun person. Like, she's very kind. And what I like about Jane is how engaged she is in conversations with you. So Jane and I have been interacting a lot outside of BookTube. We've been interacting a lot on like Discord and in conversations there. And I love a booktuber who I can actually have conversations with. And Nix is like that too. So like Nix, I feel like she'll actually like talk to you about books and not just be like, thanks. But you can actually have a conversation with her, and Jane is the same way. So it's been such a fun time getting to know Jane recently. And then we've got Heather at Hia Booktubes. Heather primarily reads romance And I consider myself still pretty new to the romance genre. I'm still trying to figure out, you know, what I like within the genre. And what I love about Heather's channel is she reads a lot of indie romance writers. She doesn't often read like the standard publishers when it comes to like contemporary romance and, you know, what you typically see on a bookshelf. So she reads a lot from Kindle Unlimited and a lot from like other indie publishers. And she also heavily emphasizes BIPOC authors and diverse representation within the romance genre, which I think is awesome. I've gotten so many good book recommendations from her. Like, my list is miles long of books that I want to read that Heather has talked about. Another thing that I really like about Heather's channel is she will host bookish discussions where she invites other booktubers to come to her channel for a live show, and they'll talk about a particular topic. So one that I watched recently was about like elitism in the romance community, and it was really good. Like, the discussions are great. So she not only talks about like the books themselves, but about like the publishing industry and about, you know, reading diversely and all of these other things that come along with being a reader and being part of the community. And then last, I'd like to recommend Tobi at Tobi's Book Corner. And Tobi reads a lot of literary fiction and classics and horror. And what I like about Tobi is the way that Tobi talks about the books. I feel so enticed to read books after hearing Tobi talk about them. The way she describes them is so neat. Like, and she does it without spoiling anything, which is great. And another thing about Tobi is Tobi has read some books that I have never heard of, but that sound really good. And so I feel like if I'm searching for like a hidden gem, Tobi's gonna know. She's gonna have her treasure box full, or a treasure chest full of all of these hidden gems that she's discovered and read and loved. And I really enjoy watching Tobi's videos. So those are the booktubers I have met this year who I recommend. And I will say I just tagged all of you. I tagged Brittany, Jane, Heather, Tobi, and well, Nix, you've already done it, but tag you with the caveat that if you don't want to do this tag because it's later in the year, fair enough, you don't have to. If you've already done the tag, you certainly don't have to redo it. And if you're too big of a channel to even know I exist at Brittany, that's fine too. I accept my fate. So that is who I tag. Brittany at Books with Brittany, Jane at The Reading Nook, Heather at Hia Booktubes, and Tobi at Tobi's Book Corner. All right, and that'll do it for this tag video. Thank you again to Nix for tagging me. I really like being tagged in these kinds of videos, so if any of you are ever like, I don't know who to tag, hit me up. I love being tagged. It's so fun. I don't always get to all the tags that I get tagged in, but I try. I certainly try. Let me know down below if you have read any of the books that I've talked about here today. If you have any recommendations for books that I should read based on what I've shared with you, or booktubers that I should follow based on what I've talked about here today, definitely leave their names down below as well. If you just want to let me know down below that you are here, go ahead and leave me a plant emoji to honor the fallen on the leaf that I broke here. And until next time, make sure that you continue to read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye!